Hi friend, welcome to this new video. In this video, we're going to build together a finance tracker for Notion from scratch. And if you are familiar with Notion, this will be a good tutorial for Notion to learn more advanced stuff like database relation, database rollup, and the database formula. So stick to the end to learn how to build this finance tracker from scratch. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe and you're going to see a lot of this build with me Notion guide. So let's dive in. So let's just start by creating a new page, and we're going to call this page Finance Tracker. Okay. So for the aesthetic part, we're going to cover that a bit later. So we just don't need to add icon or cover it right now. We're just going to build the template. So let's click empty page because we don't want to use any template. Okay, so let's page. So one thing we may want to do right now is to change the page settings. So we go to style export and more, and we're going to switch to. So let's start by adding a new database. So slash, and then I click database, and I can choose database inline, database full page, and some view. I'm going to click to the first one, database inline, and I'm going to create a new database. I call that expense. Okay. Start by deleting this default property tag. We don't need that. So click delete property, delete, yes. And now we can create a new property. And the first property that we're going to create is a number property. And this property is going to be our amount property. So let's click number, just rename to amount. And then we can change the number format from number to our currency. In this case, I'm based in Italy, so I'm going to choose euro. Next, we're going to add a date property, so to track our when our expense happens, and then we can find the date property from here. We don't need to change the name, so let's click here. Okay. And something that we want to do is to hide this. Don't need hide the database, and I'm going to rename the view to my expense. Okay, so I added some dummy expense. Next step would be to build a income tracker because we want to have our income and then minus our expense, of course. So let's add a new database, and I'm basically going to duplicate the database because all the functional the property are the same. So I'm going to click here, and I'm going to click duplicate. Okay, so it's going to be my template. So let's click here and show the database title so we can change that. And so you see that there is one number that means that this is a copy of the database, and we can rename it to income. Okay, I'm going to change this my income. Okay, we go. I create the income. So let's hide the database title because I don't like the database title to be shown. And so we have our expense and our income, actually just drag and drop. So we have our income and then our expense. So one thing that we can do to just see the sum of our income and sum of our expense is to go right here. You see that below the column you can have this calculate. So if we click here and we go to sum, we're going to take the sum, and we can do the same from here. The problem here is that there is no way to just have like these property interact with this property. So what we're going to do is to create a third database. So the third database allow us to connect income and expense and actually do the formula that we need to do to actually have our balance. So let's add a new database. I'm going to build that from scratch. So I click database inline, and that will be our account, or you can call wallet, or you can call balance. And as always, we can delete this property we don't like, and we can also add a new property. So the new property that I'm going to add is a starting balance. So we want to track, any money that we just have in our account. So like let's click plus, and then we can click to number and click and type starting balance. We can set that to the currency. Okay, so we have our starting balance. Then we want to add, we need to do actually is to create a database relation. So basically how the database relation work is that it allows us to link together some data. So when we link together some database, we can start to, retrieve information from one database and show that information in another database. It's more complicated to explain and show you, so I'm going to show you. So from the accounts, okay, we click plus to create a new property. And this new property will be a relation. So let's click relation. You can see that it appearing some of the database that we have in our workspace. And the first one with this icon is the current database that we are in. And you see that here we have another database that is income, and it's actually the database that we want to link to. And we can see that because the name under the name of the database is the name of the page where the database lay. So let's click income. And first thing, we really need to remember that database can be in two ways. Database relation can be in two ways. One is one-way sync. So basically you see the preview here that we have account and then we have income. Okay, so account is linked to income, but income is not linked to account in the sense that in income we're not going to see the account property. So a two-way syncs, we just need to click show on income. So if you click here, you see that now we have a two-way sync, and this is like you see that this arrow going from account to incomes and income to account. So let's add relation. Right now, nothing seems to happen, and it's basically because we create a relation, okay, but we need to actually put in the data. So to have all these property linked to our account database, we need to go into income and actually select, the property, okay. So we have active payout. Let's say this is going to be in our bank account. So we click bank account. Let's assume that all our income is going to be related to the bank account. So let's go bank account, and we can add. And as you can see right now, we have populate from the account our income. So right now that is a connection. Still, it seems that nothing has happened. Even if we create a relation, what we need to do actually to have the actual amount of the income to show up in the account database is to create a rollup. So basically, our rollup work is that when we create a relation, we tell Notion, okay, I want to link this database to the database. I want that to be able to communicate. But the other step that we need, and we're going to achieve that with Rollup, is say, okay, right now go inside the database and retrieve this property from me and show that property in the database that I'm in. So that is going to be the next step. So let's click plus and let's find Rollup. So click Rollup. As you can see, we can select the relation. So if we didn't enter the relation, rollup is not going to work because we are not connect them first. So let's go to relation. And you can see we just have one relation right now, so it's easy to find the income relation. So let's click here and we create a rollup. So the other thing that we need to do is, okay, I'm going to go inside income database, but what property I want to show up in this column right now. And so this is where this property field need to be changed. So let's click here. You can see these are the properties that we have in our ecom database. So as default is going to show the name, but what we actually want to do is to have the amount to show up, right? So let's click amount. You can see that right now we see all the amounts that we enter as income inside this rollup. Still not what we're looking for. So the only thing that we need to do is to go to calculate and change the calculation mode, let's say. So from show regional, we want to switch that to sum. Let's click sum. And here we go. So basically right now we have our account database that show the total amount of our income. So let's change the name to total income or something like that. So what we need to do is to do the same process for the expense. So let's do right now. First, we're going to create a relation. So let's click plus. And then we're going to find relation and relate to expense. As always, do a two-way sync. The same happens because we need to create, actually say what row we want to connect to what property in the account. So basically we have our expense, and let's say that we have manage our expense in different accounts. So for example, for Frida Kahlo book, let's say we have used PayPal. For Mid Journey, let's say, and that because it seems more, that make more sense. So bank account, PayPal. And let's say that the new lamp desk that I really want, actually I'm looking into this new lamp desk, it's, I paid from cash. You can see this is going to populate in the row that we tell him, okay? So this is the way we connect this. And what we need to do is to just replicate the process that we did already. So let's click plus, let's click Rollup, select the relation. You see that right now we have two relations, so be sure to click select the right one. It's more common than you may think to just to mistake this kind of thing, and then you are wondering why it doesn't work. So let's click to our expense. It's as though we change the property from name to the actual property that we want to see here. So we want to see the amount, so let's click amount, and then we're going to calculate and just change that. Right now is not different because I have just one expense for each account, but let's just change that so you can see a bit better how this works. So let's add a new property like new book, and the book is here, and let's say we want that to go to our PayPal, and let's change the roll up to total expense. Okay. So right now, one thing that I want to do is to hide this property, like the relation and the relation need, because I don't need that to show up to actually work. So I want to just hide them, hide in view, click hide in view. So right now it's look a bit cleaner. So we have our starting balance, our total income, and total expense. We are almost there. We just need to add a formula to just do the calculation for us. So let's add some starting balance. Okay. PayPal, we got this, right? So now we just need to do the formula, right? We need to have our starting balance plus our income minus our expense. So how are going to achieve that? Just by using a formula, and don't be scared about formula. This is a very simple formula, so you just need to follow along. So let's click plus. Let's go to formula right here, formula, right? Just give a name. So I'm going to name it balance, actually current balance, okay? And just click, and right now click. Something that you may want to notice is that when I change a formula, when I add a formula, this formula applied to all the column along. You cannot just have different formula in different cell, because this is not Google Sheet or Excel. So just to so that you know. So let's go to current balance. And this is very simple to do, very simple to do. So what we need to do is to, you see that right here we have our property. Below we have the formula itself, like some math, but we just need the properties. So I'm going to say like starting balance. You see that right now is showing what the starting balance is 5,000, 5,000, I think. And next we just use some simple symbols, some simple, so we just need to do plus, just click plus, and it's going to do the sum, okay? And let's sum to the total income. So you see there is here total income here. As you can see, this is going to tell the current formula result. And then we just need to click minus, so to subtract the expense. And so let's click minus, and then we just click total expense, and next let's click done. And yeah, we have our property current working. The only problem is that right now it is showing that not as a currency, but we can do that very easily, because when we have a formula outputting a number, we can actually tell Notion what format we want the number to be. So let's click the property current balance. Let's click edit property. And you can see that right now we have a number format we can change. So let's change from number to our currency. Let's say euro. And here we go, we have our current balance ready working. So this is always be update. So let's add a new expense, and I'm going to tell like something like movie ticket. Okay, cost me €9. Okay, and add just dummy date. And so when you do that, you're going to realize that what the hell, it's not working. Why my movie ticket not going to show up in here? The reason why, because we need to have for all the entries in our database, we need that relation, right? So we actually need to tell Notion, take this expense and link to this account, to this other property. Click here and tell Notion like, okay, I want to pay with my cash. So one thing that you may wonder, do I need to actually, anytime that I enter an income expense, to just add this kind of relation? You don't actually, because we can use filter to just have that property auto-populate for us in Notion. So how we can achieve that? So let's say we have a default account where we want our most of our expense income to go to. So let's say this is our bank account. So what we can do is to create a filter. So I'm in my income and I want to add a new property because this is going to be my default database where I can see all the properties. So I don't want to change this directly here. So let's duplicate that. So click here and click duplicate. And right now we're going to use a filter. So if you click here, filter, okay, you see that you can tell Notion, okay, filter this view. So in this view, I only want to see the data that correspond to this filtering. So right now there is no filter, so it's going to show up all the property inside the database, but we can change that by giving that a filter. Like, so if I filtering by a relation, okay, so I filter by relation account, okay, and you can see that I can decide what is the filtering is going to do. So let's say we want to only have in this view, only have bank account, okay, income. We're just going to click account contains and select the property right here. So bank account, okay, here. As you can see right now, we don't see any change, but let's say that we have in our default property and we're going to add a new property. You can see that we can just select another uh another another kind of account. But if we have this income that is related to this other account, is not going to show up here because we say, okay, the filter is account need to be bank account. Okay. And this is going to achieve something more, and this is very important if you want to track your finances in Notion, don't you're not going crazy, is to click new. So when we are in a database view and there is a filtering, this means that all new property we're going to add in this view is going to have this filtering already set in for us. If you click new, you see that the new property that we have created have this default account filtering added for us. So any income that I will add in this view is going to already have this. And this is super handy because if we didn't do this, we need to manually add anytime a new account, and we don't want that. So this is how that works. So I'm going to rename that to bank account. So I know that any property, any income added here is going to connect to the bank account. Okay. And we can do that for all account in our database. So I'm just going to show you that I'm going to create that for the PayPal one, for example. So let's duplicate. Let's call it PayPal. Okay. And then the filter is set for the previous one. So we need to change the filtering. So let's click filter. And you can just click here. Click X to remove the previous filtering, add the new filtering. If we can just repeat that for all the multiple accounts that we may have. So next we want to do the same for the expense. So let's just duplicate the expense, hold that bank account, okay, and just give the filtering treatment account. Let's click bank account. So right now, when I click new, it's going to automatically set up for the bank account, right? Okay. And we can do the same for all accounts that we may have. So if I go here right now, add a new expense, let's say that I buy a new microphone, and it's going to, you see that it's going to automatically update to my bank account, right, to this account. Okay, so right now we basically did that. We have built our finance tracker. We can do some additional thing, and this will be to just make it look a little bit better. So let's start changing the aesthetic of this step. So first, let's add an icon, and I'm going to add an emoji just to, let's add a cover to it. So let's click here, let's click change cover, go to unsplash, where we can select some image, and let's go to position. Okay, so one thing that you can see that here we have some add comments. So this can be handy if you want to just tell something to yourself if you use the workspace all alone. So if it can like say keep working, something like that. But if you don't like to have these kind of add comment things in your page, you can just disable that. So let's click start export and more, go to customize page. You can see there is top level expansion. Right now it's expand. You can just turn it off and it's going to hide that. So next, let's hide the database title. I don't like the database title to show up, and rename the table to our account. And this is almost new feature in Notion, but now we can change the icon of our view. So if I click here, I can select an icon, and this is only, you can only choose the dark, you cannot change the color right now, and we can only choose the icon from Notion, so we cannot add external icon. So let's add some icon. Okay, and we can do the same right now for all the properties. So for example, we have our starting balance. We can change that to something like this, and we can do the same for all. Okay, so right now it looks a bit better, I think, with that custom icon. Something that we may want to do is actually change the icon in the property. So we want to, right now is going to show that empty document icon. We don't like that. And we can change them. And to change them, we can go to open the page, actually, the database page. So let's open the bank account page. As you can see, we can add an icon from here. So let's click here, and it's going to add a default, a random actually emoji. We want to change them. Go to icon, select this classical building style icon for the bank account. So I can just go next page to just navigate to the next page. And then we're going to change this to credit card. So there is credit card symbol. And from cash, we can add, and we're going to have cache. See if there's something like cache. As you can see, when we do that, it's going to change the icon here, so it's look a bit more neat and clean for my taste right now. So one thing that we want to do is to do the same for all the expense, actually all the income and all the expense, but we don't want to have different kind of icon for all of them. We just want to have a default icon, so anytime we add a new income, there is an icon to that, and every time we add an expense, there is an icon to that. And to do that, we're going to use template. So template is basically a default kind of page in our database that we can apply the feature to any page inside the database. So to create the template, we can do two ways. So first way is open up a page, and inside the page you see there is please enter to continue with an empty page or create a template. And so we can say like, create a template, I want to do that. And you can see that right now we are in editing mode. So you're editing template in income, and there is all the property that we have in that page, and we can set some default things. So I'm going to add just a name to mostly identify what template I'm doing. So we are create like new income, and we can change the icon. So this icon is going to apply to all the income page that we are going to set up as this template. So let's add an icon, and let's change icon to plus. I cannot find it like this. So let's click plus to find the plus circle. You can use like the plus, or this minus, or this plus. You can use the plus that you want, actually. So let's click plus. And we have our icon. So right now it doesn't apply. To apply that, you cannot actually apply like batch applying to previous property that we create. So what we're going to do is to open it up. As you can see right now, instead of telling us create a new template, there's actually the option to apply the template. So I can click here, and it's going to see that you can change the icon. And that's just because we have just apply an icon as our property. But any property that we change in the template will be applied to the page. So let's just navigate and just click all of them. And in this example, if you just need to apply the icon, you can also do this way. And this is a new feature as well. So one of the recent feature. So I can click here to select all the property. Okay, so click here, you see that we have all the properties selected. We need to change only the icon. So we need to click the three dot here. And then you can see we can change the icon. So we can change the icon. Let's change to something that actually change. Like you can do like plus, and it's going to apply to this. But if we go here, you see that actually this is still the same that we entered before. Wonderful. So one thing that we will create a template is almost like the filtering things that I show you. You can just have all the property that you add directly have that template, apply the template to, so we can have that applying automatically. And to do that, we can reopen the template, and we can reopen the template for this. So there is this new button, and then there is this little arrow. Click here. See that this is going to show all the template that we have created for this income database. Right now we just have the new income that we created earlier. So let's click here, and you see that we can change that as default. And something that appears is you want to use this to the new income template to all the page or just the current view. So if you do for all view in income, is going to apply to all income. And if you do only on my income view, it's just going to apply to the current view that you are in. But this is just an icon, so we want that to apply to all our view in income. So all the page that we're going to create is going to have that icon. So let's click for all view in income. Okay, So now I click new, you see it's going to have our icon. Wonderful. Let's do the same for the expense. So let's create a new template. Right now I can create from directly from here, is the same. And I add new expenses and just add, I think that we're going to find by clicking minus, the circle minus, like it. As always, we can change here and we need to set that as default. So let's change here, set as default for all view, perfect. And now if we create new property, it's going to have our icon and we can apply as we did before. So let's click all these, three dot, icon, minus. Okay, if we open the account property, we're going to see that expense and income right now have the icon show up correctly. So, okay, let's do some other changes. Something that I like to do is to switch this to, or better, create this in a gallery view. So let's click the view and click duplicate, and let's change the layout from table to gallery. Right now, nothing is showing up. This can be a little confusing, but the reason is that we actually, in the gallery view, we need to change what property we want to show in the gallery view. So I'm going to click here, edit view layout, grouping, and more. And you can see that right now the property is only one shown, and the only one that show is the name. Okay, so this is the default for Notion. But we want some other properties. So we want, let's say we just want to see our current balance for each account. So let's say we're going to just click here to this little eye icon. So if we click here, we're going to see that right now it's show up here. Wonderful. So some other thing that we can do. So if we want, we can add a cover to each of our accounts. So let's try to do that. So I can show you how that works. So click plus, so click open, sorry, and let's add a cover. Change cover, and I'm going to change like 3D render because I find that there are some cool things going up when I do that. Okay, so let's just select some image and do the same for this 3D render. Why not? Oh, I love this 3D render. I use them a lot in my project. Okay, cache. Change that 3D render again. Okay, so another problem with my Canva, it's not showing. And the reason why it's not showing, when we create a gallery view for Notion, as default, there is a setting. And let's see what the setting is. So we click here and we see that right now we can go to layout, gallery, and there are some options for the gallery view. So right now we're going to see the card previews is set, and this is default, is set to page content. So there's nothing inside the page, so nothing is going to show up. So what we need to do is to change the card preview for page content to page cover. Click here, it appear. Okay, this is one. And one thing that I want to do actually is to have my income and my expense to show up one next to each other. And the way we want to do that is to just by creating a column. So if you are familiar with Notion, you know that you can create column, but you may wonder how I create a column. So because in the when we use like normal blocks, we can just drag a block and just release the block right next to the another block to create a column. We cannot do that with database, but doesn't mean we cannot create a layout with our database. So there is a little trick. We just need to create a new block, and we're going to summon the column blocks. So let's click flash. Let's click 2. So you see that we can create from advanced block to column of blocks. Let's click here. Right now it's not self-evident we have created 2 columns, but we can highlight, you see that we have 2 columns. And so we need to do is to take one of these and just drag inside the column and do the same for this. Okay, so there is a little space that I want to delete from here. Okay, and yeah, we have inserted that as a column. Doesn't look very neat, so we need to just adjust some of the property. Okay, wonderful. Cool. And one thing that you may want to do is to also change the table view in another view. And for the finance tracker, I like to change that to a list because it will look very much more clean. So let's change the default view that right now is a table to a list for both of them. So let's click, as always, three dot, add view layout grouping. And let's change the layout from table to list is here, click list. And some of the property is going to be hidden. So let's just reveal them. So let's click here, go to property, one shown. I want to show the amount and I want to show the account. Basically, I want to show them all. And do the same for this. Go to table, go to list, and just click this to just switch to the property and just go show all. Okay, so basically I prefer to have the bank accounts, okay, on the right. So we just need to change the order basically. So let's open up, go to properties, and you can see that this is actually the order that our property is going to show up in our list. So let's just click here and drag that. These look a lot much clearer in my opinion, and this is basically how we can create a simple finance tracker for Notion. Of course, there are a lot of more things that we can do with a finance tracker. So for example, one thing that I love to do is to create actually budget tracker, so a monthly budget tracker where we can create a category for each expense, and then each month we can set a budget and see our progress toward the budget. This requires a bit more working in, but I'm going to release another video where I explain how to do that. This is very cool because you can also have this monthly spread that automatically reset each month. So each month you're going to see the progress, and then the next month is going to reset. So it's really automated. I hope you enjoyed this quick tutorial. You can find all my free opinion template on my website. It is this website, that is Notion Avenue. You can see I have some nice thing for you. So for example, I have a lot of blog posts where I covered the best free templates for all case scenarios. So if you have like project management, dark mode, anime themes, I have a lot. And please subscribe to the channel if you like this content, if you want to learn Notion. Notion can be a really life-changing tool from you to use. It does change my life, and I think it can change yours as well. So please hit subscribe and follow for more content like this. Until the next time,